All right, so you're thinking about starting an LLC,
Uh-huh.
specifically in Kansas.
Yeah.
And it looks like you found some instructions on how to get a free LLC.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so we thought we'd dive into that and see what's really going on there.
Okay.
But first, I thought maybe we could talk a little bit about Kansas and
Oh,
LLCs.
sure.
Because, a lot of people, when they think about Kansas, they don't think
Two
about,
businesses.
yeah, they think about, Dorothy and Toto and
Right.
farming.
Yeah,
But it turns out that Kansas is a pretty good state to start a business in.
it is.
And that LLCs are particularly popular in Kansas.
Yeah.
So why is that? What makes an LLC so attractive to entrepreneurs in Kansas?
Well, one of the big reasons is taxes.
Okay,
Kansas has what's called a pass-through taxation structure for LLCs.
that's that one.
So that means that the LLC itself isn't taxed. Instead, the income from the LLC passes through to the owners, and they pay taxes on their personal income.
I see.
So you avoid that double taxation that you get with corporations, where the corporation pays taxes and then the owners pay taxes again on the dividends they receive.
Okay, so that's a big advantage, right?
Yeah, it can be huge.
Especially for small businesses.
Exactly.
So what else is there besides the taxes? I mean,
Well, LLCs are also really flexible.
okay.
Kansas allows for both member-managed and manager-managed LLCs.
Right.
So you can choose the management structure that works best for you.
What's the difference between those two?
So in a member-managed LLC, all the owners are involved in the day-to-day running of the business.
Right.
In a manager-managed LLC, the owners appoint a manager or managers to handle the business.
Okay.
So it's like having a CEO.
So that could be really helpful for people who, don't want to be involved in the day-to-day.
Exactly.
Or maybe they don't have the expertise.
Right.
I'm also seeing here that asset protection's a big deal with LLCs.
Yeah, that's another huge benefit.
So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So when you form an LLC in Kansas,
Mm-hmm.
you're creating a separate legal entity. It's like a separate person in the eyes of the law.
Oh, I see.
So that means that your personal assets, like your house or your car,
Mm-hmm.
they're protected from business debts and lawsuits.
So if the business goes belly up,
Yeah.
my personal stuff is safe.
Right.
Okay, so that's a big relief, I imagine, for a lot of people.
Yeah, it gives you that peace of mind.
I'm seeing something here about publication requirements, though.
Right.
What are those all about?
So in Kansas, when you form an LLC,
Mm-hmm.
you're required to publish a notice in a local newspaper.
For how long?
For a certain number of weeks.
Okay.
It's basically just to let the public know that your LLC exists.
So it's like a legal notice.
Right.
I see. And is that something that everybody has to do?
Generally, yeah.
Okay.
The specific requirements can vary a bit.
Right.
So it's always best to check with the Kansas Secretary of State's office.
To get the latest.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about the benefits of LLCs in Kansas.
Yeah.
Let's get to this free LLC offer that we mentioned. What is that all about?
So there are companies out there that will help you form an LLC for free.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, how does that work?
Well, they basically handle all the paperwork and filing for you.
Huh.
So you don't have to do it yourself.
That sounds pretty good.
Yeah, it can be really helpful.
Especially if you're not familiar with the process.
Exactly.
But how can they afford to do it for free?
Well, they usually make money through other services,
Okay.
like registered agent services,
Right.
which are required for LLCs in Kansas.
So they're kind of like upselling you.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay. And do they handle those publication requirements that we talked about?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
It really depends on the specific company.
Okay.
Some of them might include it in their free package.
Mm-hmm.
Others might charge an extra fee for it.
Okay, so it's not really free?
Well, it's free to form the LLC,
Right.
but there might be other costs involved.
I see. So it's important to read the fine print and make sure you understand what you're getting into
Right.
before you sign up for anything.
Exactly.
Okay, so even though there are these free LLC offers out there,
Yeah,
it's still important to do your research
absolutely.
and make sure that an LLC is the right choice for your business,
Right.
because it might not be.
Yeah, there are other business structures out there,
Like what?
like S-corp or partnerships, and they each have their own advantages and disadvantages.
So it really depends on your specific situation.
Exactly.
And another thing to keep in mind is that we've been talking specifically about Kansas,
Right.
but other states have different rules and regulations for LLCs.
Yeah, every state is different.
So if you're thinking about doing business in other states,
Mm-hmm.
you need to make sure that you understand the laws in those states as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the bottom line is that starting an LLC in Kansas can be a great option for entrepreneurs.
Yeah, it's a very business-friendly state.
but it's important to do your research and make sure that it's the right choice for you.
And don't be afraid to consult with a legal professional if you have any questions.
That's good advice. All right, so you've got the steps laid out in front of you, the free LLC, the paid LLC, the other options. But the real question is, does the Kansas LLC path lead to the destination that you envision for your business? Think about that before taking your first step.